So, what is the absolute best way for a child to learn? It's a question that has sparked two completely different answers, two totally different worlds inside the classroom. Today, we're going to explore both of them. The traditional model that, let's be honest, most of us grew up with, and the very unique child-first approach of Montessori.
And really, this is the big question, isn't it? It's the one that sits at the very heart of education. The answers have created classrooms that look and feel completely different from one another. So we're going to dive deep into two of the most influential answers to this exact question.
All right, let's kick things off with what's probably familiar to almost everyone. For, more than a century, the teacher-led classroom has been the standard for public education. It's structured, it's predictable, and it's built on a pretty clear set of rules.
Think of this as the classic sage on the stage model. The teacher, they're the expert. They're the central figure who has all the knowledge, and their main job is to get that information to the students as efficiently as possible. The entire system is really designed for that clear, direct instruction from the front of the room all the way to the back.
And you can see how all these pieces really fit together to create this uniform experience, right? You've got a teacher leading a classroom full of kids who are all the same age. They're all following the same curriculum. The goal is pretty clear. How are we doing? Well, we measure that with tests and grades, which often means a big focus on memorization. It's a system built for efficiency, for scale, and for consistency. Okay, but what if we took that model and just flipped it completely on its head? Well, that brings us to a totally different philosophy, one that puts the child, not the teacher, at the absolute center of the learning universe, and that's the Montessori method. This whole idea was developed by Dr. Maria Montessori, and it's really founded on this deep trust in a child's natural-born desire to learn. The idea here isn't to just pour information into a child's head. Instead, it's all about carefully setting up an environment where their own curiosity can just take off, letting them discover knowledge for themselves.
So here, the whole structure looks different. The learning is led by the student at their own pace. You'll find classrooms with mixed age groups, which is amazing because it lets the older kids naturally mentor the younger ones. A really key feature is these specially designed materials that actually correct themselves, so a kid can figure out their own mistakes. And forget about bells ringing every hour. You have these long, uninterrupted work periods that are designed to help kids get into a state of deep focus.
Okay, so we've seen the two philosophies on their own. Now, for the really interesting part, let's put them side by side to get a super clear picture of where they really split. This is the classroom head-to-head.
First up, the role of the teacher. In that traditional classroom, they are the dispenser of knowledge. They're at the front, they instruct, they correct your work. But in a Montessori classroom, that role totally shifts. The teacher becomes the guide on the side. Their real expertise is in watching each child, figuring out what they need, and then gently guiding their discoveries, not just dictating a lesson from a book.
And as you can imagine, that completely changes the student's role too. In the traditional model, the student is mostly a listener, taking in information, trying to keep up with the rest of the group. In the Montessori model, though, the student becomes the active driver of their own education. They're making choices about what to work on, managing their own time, and just following their curiosity wherever it leads, at their own speed.
The classroom itself tells the story. You know the look? A traditional classroom often has desks in neat rows, all facing the teacher and a board. The whole day is broken up by bells and different subjects. A Montessori room, on the other hand, is this open, prepared space designed for kids to move around and make choices. The materials are right there, easy to access, and the day is built around these long, flexible work cycles that really respect a child's natural ability to focus.
So when you start to peel back all these layers, the teacher's job, the student's job, the very layout of the room, you get to the real heart of it all. You arrive at this core philosophical divide, a fundamental disagreement over what learning even means.
This famous quote just nails that divide perfectly. Is the whole point of education to fill up a child's head with a specific list of facts and figures, to fill the pail? Or is it to ignite their own internal curiosity, their own creativity and passion for discovery, to light a fire that's going to burn for the rest of their lives?
And that's really what it boils down to. It's a choice between two very different goals. Are we choosing a structured, predictable path that's designed to get everybody to the same destination? Or are we choosing a guided, open exploration that's designed to help every single kid discover their own unique potential?
And that leaves us with one last, pretty important question to think about. As our world gets more and more complex, more unpredictable, which of these environments is better suited to build the innovators, the collaborators, and the lifelong learners that we're going to need for tomorrow? There's no single easy answer, of course, but it's definitely something worth thinking about.